Walking into a courtroom knowing the judge already hates you just because of the color of your skin. That's exactly what happened to 17-year-old Jamal Thompson in Dallas, Texas. Jamal Thompson, a 17-year-old from Dallas, Texas, was a straight-A student with dreams of becoming a lawyer. But his life took a sharp turn when he was falsely accused of stealing from a local convenience store. The evidence was shaky, a grainy security video, and a cashier who thought Jamal looked like the suspect. Despite his clean record and alibi, Jamal was arrested and charged. The real problem wasn't just the accusation, it was the judge overseeing his case, Margaret Hayes. Judge Hayes had a reputation in the community for being harsh, especially toward black defendants. Her courtroom was known for unfair rulings, harsher sentences, and dismissive attitudes toward anyone who didn't fit her idea of respectable. Jamal's family knew they were up against more than just a legal battle. They were up against a system that seemed designed to fail him. Jamal's family couldn't afford a high-profile attorney, and the public defender assigned to his case was overwhelmed and underprepared. The odds were stacked against him. But Jamal wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for every kid in his neighborhood who'd been written off because of their skin color or zip code. The challenge wasn't just proving his innocence, it was exposing the bias in the system that allowed judges like Hayes to operate unchecked. The stakes were high. If convicted, Jamal could lose his scholarship, his future, and his freedom. And Judge Hayes? She wasn't just a judge, she was a symbol of everything wrong with the justice system. Jamal's case wasn't just about one teenager, it was about holding power accountable. But how do you fight a system that's rigged against you? That was the problem Jamal and his family faced. And they were about to find out if justice was truly blind or if it had a favorite color. Jamal's family knew they needed a miracle to win this case, and that's when they found Sarah Mitchell, a young attorney with a reputation for taking on impossible fights. Sarah wasn't just any lawyer, she was passionate about justice and had a knack for uncovering the truth, no matter how buried it was. But she also knew that going head-to-head with Judge Hayes in a traditional way wouldn't work. The system was too entrenched, and Hayes had too much power. So, Sarah came up with a bold plan. She would go undercover. Sarah disguised herself as a rookie attorney, someone inexperienced and unthreatening. She wanted Judge Hayes to underestimate her, to let her guard down. Meanwhile, Sarah secretly coached Jamal on how to represent himself in court. She taught him how to present evidence, cross-examine witnesses, and deliver a compelling argument. Jamal was a quick learner, and his natural intelligence shone through. But the real key to their strategy was gathering evidence of Judge Hayes' bias. Sarah and Jamal dug deep, uncovering past cases where Hayes had made blatantly racist remarks or handed down disproportionately harsh sentences to black defendants. They found witnesses willing to speak out, including former court staff who had seen his behavior firsthand. They even discovered recordings of Hayes making derogatory comments during private meetings. Every piece of evidence was carefully documented, creating a damning picture of a judge who let her personal prejudices dictate her rulings. As the trial approached, Sarah and Jamal prepared for the moment they would expose Hayes. Sarah stayed in character, playing the inexperienced lawyer who fumbled through procedures, while Jamal quietly grew more confident in his ability to defend himself. They knew the courtroom would be a battlefield, and they were ready to fight fire with fire. But they also knew the risk. If their plan failed, Jamal could lose everything, and Sarah's career could be ruined. The tension built as the trial began. Judge Hayes, true to form, dismissed Jamal's defense and mocked his efforts. She treated Sarah with condescension, clearly believing she was dealing with an amateur. But Sarah and Jamal were playing the long game. They waited for the right moment to strike, knowing that one misstep could cost them everything. The courtroom became a stage, and the real drama was about to unfold. The courtroom was silent as Sarah Mitchell dropped the bombshell. She revealed her true identity as a seasoned attorney and presented the evidence of Judge Hayes' blatant racism. The recordings of Hayes' derogatory remarks, the testimonies from former court staff, and the patterns of unfair rulings against black defendants were laid bare for everyone to see. The judge's face turned pale as the weight of her actions came crashing down. Jamal, now standing tall and confident, delivered a powerful closing statement. He spoke about the injustice he faced, not just in his case, but as a young black man growing up in a system that often saw him as a threat rather than a person. His words were raw, emotional, and impossible to ignore. The jury, the spectators, and even the court staff were moved by his courage and eloquence. The verdict was unanimous: not guilty. The charges against Jamal were dropped, and the courtroom erupted in a mix of cheers and stunned silence. But the victory didn't stop there. The evidence against Judge Hayes was so overwhelming that an investigation was launched into her conduct. Within weeks, she was removed from the bench, her career in ruins. Jamal's case became a turning point, sparking conversations about systemic racism in the justice system and the need for accountability. For Jamal, it was more than just a legal win, it was a moment of empowerment. He had faced one of the most powerful figures in his community and emerged victorious, not just for himself, but for everyone who had been wronged by a broken system. His story spread like wildfire, inspiring others to stand up against injustice and demand change. Sarah, too, became a symbol of hope. Her bravery in taking on a corrupt judge and her innovative approach to fighting for justice earned her respect and admiration. But for her, the real reward was seeing Jamal walk out of that courtroom with his future intact and his head held high. The case was a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, justice can prevail. But it also highlighted the work that still needs to be done. Racism in the system isn't just a few bad apples. It's a deep-rooted problem that requires constant vigilance and action. Jamal's story is proof that change is possible, but it starts with courage, determination, and the willingness to fight for what's right. If you believe in standing up against injustice, hit that subscribe button. Because stories like Jamal's, they deserve to be heard.